ko aga bararki anta madogalne madanagane hatana abaarahani dhiidi hanagane ilaahay mahadinti hamarkoyni dhibaatooyin badan kala kulunne hamin hora ya ilaahay mahadatuug haneen gali gabar oo ilaahay mahadleh oo gabdhayga kamid ayaa la kufsadi oo guri qabo haneen gali ilaahay mahadleh madig ay loodan ibugdan isla kati ya ilaahay mahadleh tuugina noo fokadi yana hanoo deeri
nin ayaa dhibaateeyon ka yimid eedaday baan la joogay ka bacdi eedaday aniga la joogay ninba igu khasabtay ninkii uur ayaan u yeeshay markii dambe uur u yeeshay ninkii midi ayuu ila dhacay waan iskaga soo baxsaday meeshan baan imiday ka bacdi saas baan meeshan jooga
waanu ka bixi doonaa laakiin waxa weeye kaan baan deganahay qaxoonti ah oo hablaha lagu farxumeeyo oo haddii ay xaabo gudhaan lagu soo xoogayo oo haddii ay maxay ahayd habeenkii 8 saac la isaga dhacayo la xabadaynayo dadkii gabar yar ee 9 jir cidda ay u joogtaa habeenkii bus bay gelisaa si ay maxay ahayd nabadgelyo ugu hesho ayad si aan looga jiidan hooyadaasi gabar inaan u joogto habeenkii dhibaato badan bay xataa ku hoyataa tii aan loo imaanin oo islaada goorma ay lagu imaan doonaa
It is a landscape that 20 years ago was being ravaged by war. Close to 100,000 people died in the Bosnian conflict, a conflict that also saw rape used as a powerful weapon. Amid all the horrors of Bosnia, the name Srebrenica stands out. This is where 8,000 men and boys were massacred.
30,000 of them decided to ask for protection from Dutch soldiers who were here.
The Foreign Secretary and Angelina Jolie came here as part of their campaign against sexual violence in conflict zones. It began 2 years ago after William Hague saw a film she'd made about Bosnia. In 3 years of war, between 20 and 50,000 women were raped here. Even today, few are willing to speak openly. The people who raped you, have they ever been brought to justice? Are they still at large? Edina tells me her attackers are still free. She's even found them on social media. Many women have died, she says, without seeing justice. It is that legacy of the conflict that ties into the initiative Angelina Jolie and William Hague have been working on, trying to raise awareness of the devastating, enduring effect of wartime rape.
One of the women mentioned, the way she worded it was, we feel like we're sinking and they can't recover, and they're so broken, and yet they are so dignified. They are just extraordinary women.
This is something that has been out of sight and out of mind for most people in the world. So people have never really had to focus on it, and now we know about it.
I've spoken to these women, I've looked in their eyes, and I just can't stand that they feel ashamed for what happened to them. I can't stand it.
Bosnia's war may have ended nearly 2 decades ago, but the victims of sexual violence I've been speaking to here feel as if the conflict is still ongoing. They say they're not facing the shells anymore, but they are living with the physical and mental scars from what happened to them. And it's men as well as women who bear those scars. At a safe house in central Bosnia, I met Zinjia, who told me of his wartime ordeal.
The military police took me to a basement and beat me. I lost consciousness. When I woke up, they sexually abused me. They threw me on the floor and thought I'd probably bleed to death. I may look like a rock, but I'm just a shell of a man. A shell.
Angelina Jolie and William Hague are now preparing for an international conference in London in June, where they'll launch new guidance on how to document and gather evidence of rape in war zones, something that should help bring more prosecutions. But from all the rapes committed during the Bosnian War, there have been fewer than 70 convictions, which means that for most victims, the quest for justice goes on. Michal Hussein, BBC News, Bosnia.
I'm delighted to welcome you all to this event in advance of the Global Summit to End Sexual Violence in Conflict, which will take place from the 10th to the 13th of June. The summit will be a truly global event because sexual violence in conflict is a global issue. It is not confined to one region. It has marked nearly every major conflict in our lifetimes, and it has affected millions of women, children, and men. But around the world, this appalling crime has been committed in conditions of almost complete impunity, with only a handful of successful prosecutions ever taking place. I believe that we can and must eradicate the horrors of war zone sexual violence once and for all. But to do that, we need global action and local leadership. So I'm grateful to you for taking part in this vitally important effort. The summit will be the biggest meeting of its kind ever held. Government, civil society, the media, military, judiciary, and the public will all take part. I want the world to look back at the Global Summit as the moment that global public opinion joined together with a surge of political will to end the impunity that surrounds rape and sexual violence in conflict, so that in the future, far from any judge, prosecutor, or law, any man in any conflict zone will think twice before ordering or committing rape. So I wish your event every success, and I look forward to learning of its outcome and how it has contributed to our worldwide effort. I encourage each of you to join our online conversation using the hashtag #TimeToAct and consider how you can build on your participation today to help end sexual violence in conflict. By taking up this cause, we are shouldering a responsibility that the world has avoided for too long. And having taken it up now, we must never set it down again. Thank you.
Hello. I wanted to reach out to thank all of you for being a part of the Global Summit to End Sexual Violence in Conflict. Your event is one of many others taking place around the world, making this a summit like no other. And this is necessary because the issue you are discussing today is a crime like no other. It is hard to document, let alone investigate. It is so destructive it can lay waste to entire communities. Perpetrators do not discriminate because these crimes are not about sex, but violence, terror, and control. Adults and children of both sexes have been made to suffer the horrors of sexual violence in conflicts all over the world. The thought of someone attacking and raping a child is hard to imagine, but a huge number of victims are very young girls and boys. My hope is that this summit will be the moment the world takes practical steps to end impunity and enable survivors to receive better support. This is no easy task, because for many people, sexual violence carries a corrosive after effect that lasts a lifetime. Shame. The shame of being disowned by your family, on top of the trauma you have experienced. The stigma of being identified as a survivor of rape. The injustice of seeing your attacker flaunt the freedom that should have been denied him by a judge. We must end this impunity, because that is the only way that justice can be served and lives can be rebuilt. And with your help, and the discussions you have today, we can do this. Thank you.